It makes no sense to me. Later on, it's gonna come out, I think, that Taylor Jensen fucked someone's wife. I
Yeah,
just
that's
I
exact.
either that or he, made John Morant, like, holster his gun, but, like, there's no in between.
That's ex that's exactly right. I, like, totally forgot that I was saying that too, like, that's what I said. I was like, I almost hope that there is, not obviously whatever would have happened, but because this just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know what I
Well,
mean? Like, this
dude,
is just
I
stupid.
like
And welcome back to another episode of your favorite couch potatoes. I'm your host Jake Cubs, joined today by Shawnee Boy, and we got a lot to get into, buddy. It's been a while since we've gotten an NBA episode in here, and we also got some other basketball to talk about, some March Madness, and
Oh, yeah.
I know me and you have definitely been following this guy a lot. Cooper Flag, man, is having himself a tournament. We were both watching that Duke Arizona game in the what was that, the Sweet 16?
Mhm.
Pretty closely, and he had an historic game. He had 30 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 blocks, which is the first player to ever meet all of those metrics, those very specific metrics in a single game, but still very like impressive and just gosh, man, I remember there was that stretch where he had like 4 alley-oop lobs in a row, and
Mhm.
he was just doing it all out there, man.
Yeah, as someone, admittedly, I have not watched a lot of Cooper
Hmm.
Flag this year. It's just kind of been part of the process of he's the number one pick in everyone's mind this entire year, and as a
Yep.
Jazz fan, that's what we're looking for. But seeing him play in this tournament some more, he looks like a package, man. He's got a little bit of everything. Plays defense too. And it was funny because we even mentioned to each other that. Well, I kind of mentioned I was like they always talk about his defense, and this game he's felt a little bit tired or something. But it was towards the end of the game that I was kind of noticing that, and really, he had a solid game defensively, anyways. So
Yeah.
if that's a slower game, I'm pretty impressed with what he's looking like, man.
Me too, dude. Yeah, and a historic game in a game where, yeah, you thought maybe like he was looking a little here and there, but I think that Arizona team was just a tough team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We had we were talking about was it Caleb Love? Is his name?
Yes.
From
Yeah.
Arizona. He is having himself a game. I think
A
he was the
dog.
leading scorer, 35 points in that game, bunch of threes. And but yeah, man, I mean, I remember
He
texting you.
was
I was in the same
solid.
boat as about Cooper Flag, where I was like, dude, I haven't actually really watched this guy play at all. I've just heard his name, know what like the prospect he is, seen highlights and stuff, and just watching it. I think I can't remember exactly what I texted you, but it was just like my opinion has totally changed. Need him twice as much now. Like
Yeah.
he definitely looks like that guy. So I'm
Hmm.
excited, man. And they're rolling along. They just beat They blew the brakes off Bama in the Elite Eight,
Oh yeah.
85-65. So it's gonna be
It
interesting to see. Obviously, we're watching
only
that
close
closely.
game I think was against Arizona so far.
Hmm.
Arizona, I mean, Caleb Love had such a game. It was impressive to see what he had too. Because I mean, he put up like you said, 35 points. That's really impressive. So what a game it was to watch, and Duke is looking solid.
Yes, sir. And that was after, dude, holding Bama to 65 points after they put
Crazy.
113 on BYU
Mm-mm.
the game before. I mean, historic. They broke so many records. And the NCAA single game, I think both tourney and just all time record for most threes. I think they had 25 threes in that
Yeah.
game. And I remember we were talking about in the NBA, the Wizards got blown out, which we'll get into a little bit later, but the Alabama Crimson Tide actually outscored the Wizards in 8-minute shorter game in the professional league versus college. But I thought that was funny, man. But yeah, that was impressive to see. I think Bama was the number one offense, Duke was number two, but you could
Hmm.
clearly see Duke's on another level with what they can do on defense.
Solid, man. Probably my favorites going into this tournament. So just
Yep.
because I was like, Cooper Flag, Cooper
Yes,
Flag.
sir. That's exactly who I put him in the championship and winning the championship in my bracket too. And right now we're down to the final four. It starts, I think, later this week where we got Duke and Houston, Auburn and
Mm.
Florida, all number one seeds. This NIL area is definitely changing. I know you get a lot of those one seeds normally, but all four, not really. Even in the earlier rounds, you just didn't have that kind of Cinderella. Really, Arkansas had a run; they were a 10 seed. but that was about it. And I think, I can't remember, they lost in the Sweet 16. So yeah, it's changing, but it's the good thing about it. I think while you might not have that Cinderella story in these next 2-3 games, I think we're going to have some amazing basketball because we have some amazing players and coaches out there on the court.
Yeah, I totally agree. And yeah, I was even seeing people kind of joke about it online, how this is the season of random white guys rising up in the middle of in the middle of March.
Yep, yep, yep.
That hasn't happened this season. It's been really straight. I mean, this entire tournament's been pretty straightforward. It's, yeah, all one seeds. It will be interesting to see if it continues that way because I kind of agree with what you're saying. The NILs could be affecting that. I don't know. Even last year, I mean, there was NIL deals and there was more upsets than there is this season. So we'll see if that continues or not. But
Right.
it's been fun to watch. And yeah, good basketball to come.
Yes, sir. And another interesting news: the projected number 2, Dylan Harper from Rutgers, he's going to enter the NBA draft. He has officially done that, and so we'll see. I hope we don't get him. You know what I mean? But I have a feeling we might, just how things end up for Jazz fans. But
Never been the number one pick, right? Never, never
right.
once.
Oh man, this is our time. I've seen so many memes and stuff that they're gonna kind of rig it for us or whatever. Like this is like they're actually gonna, and I'm like, you know what? Why not? Because I heard LeBron talk about that with when he got drafted to the Cavs. Like, oh yeah, a guy from Akron, Ohio, playing for Cleveland. Sure, that was totally
Hmm.
random. Yeah,
I've
but
always been a slight believer that something's going on in the lottery, but I couldn't put my finger on it, so who knows what's happening.
all righty. Well, let's get into the NBA. Let's start with some big news. The salary cap continuing to go up. It goes up 10% and is projected to be at $154.6 million next season. So I know we were talking about this pre show. I don't know if you saw anything else or had any other thoughts, but you were saying, is everybody in the luxury tax at this point? Because that seems like way too low. What do you think about
There's got to be. That's an interesting stat. I might have to be a stat guy on that in a second here, but
that?
I really have a hard time believing very many teams are adhering to that number.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, if that's already a 10% increase on the current number, yeah, I think there's a lot of teams that are definitely taking advantage of their luxury tax, and it definitely puts certain teams at a disadvantage. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle that in the future, because I feel like luxury taxes feel like a real toss up in the league, just depending on like how big your market is. So
Yeah, exactly.
that's a
All
jazz. Once again, a jazz fan saying something like that, right? But
Hey, speaking of the Jazz, let's get into their last stretch. So yeah, it has been a while, so bear with me here. We're gonna go through what has happened. The first thing that happened was a loss to the Celtics. Wow, surprising. Next thing, a loss to the Grizzlies. Now this one is a little bit more interesting though because we were the first team to be fined $100,000 for violating the league's participation policy, and this was specifically in regards to Lowry Marketing's availability. But as you and me both know, and all Jazz fans know, it's not just him. We've seen Walker Kessler on the rest quite a bit. John Collins' back is just killing
whew,
him, and
it's been really hurting.
all that kind of stuff. But obviously, everybody and their mom knows we are tanking, and yeah, we got caught for it, and $100,000. That's the first fine. I think it goes up like maybe 250 next, and then up and up as you
Uh,
get continue to get
it's
fined
pretty
for it.
quick actually. You get to $1 million pretty quickly on that one. I saw.
Mm.
I can't remember if it's the second step or the third, but yeah, we're tanking. Who would have thought? Who-
Who would have thought? And
it's a little annoying to be the only team getting in trouble for it, but I think it is because of the name, right? We're talking about Laurie Markkinen here.
yep,
Maybe we're not playing him enough, but I feel like the issue is that he's pretty good, and in general, the Jazz probably could have won a handful more games this season if they were trying. So they need to be a little careful about who's on the floor. Um, oh well. I don't think we're gonna get fined again, but I wouldn't mind seeing someone else get fined too if we're gonna get one. So
yeah, seriously. I know a couple other teams. Actually, it was the our other boys on this podcast. I know the Thunder and the 76ers got looked into, which obviously Thunder in a very
oh
different
really?
scenario. But yeah, they got looked at. But I think, like you said, nobody else got fined. So, But yeah, a bunch of players came back for that Grizzlies game is actually what happened. We had a very healthy team that next day after we got fined.
So it was just something. It was the fire in the gut. They were like, "We're gonna
Yep.
get fined? No way!"
Oh man. And then we go to Toronto and we lose. And I hadn't noticed this, but Lowry was benched in the second half of that game. But so benched just because we're tanking. That's all the reason for his benching,
I
as
think
we know.
I think that I actually heard Kessler did the same thing that game. So both of them randomly in the second half just weren't feeling it anymore. Right after the fine, it almost felt like a little bit of a, okay,
Maybe Hardy
fine.
just thought another guy, had a hotter hand at the
No,
time,
that makes more
so
sense. Yeah, what you're saying. Yeah, it's that.
probably, definitely. After that, we lost to the Timberwolves, and then we lost to the Bulls. Very, very interesting trend going on for us here. But then we got a win. We beat
Mm,
the Washington Wizards, the other
mm.
team that we are in the close tankathon race with. Um, yeah, I remember being kind of pissed about this one, but all in all, like we've talked about, all you got to be is in that bottom three. That's as good a chance as you're going to get, anyways.
Yeah.
So this win, I think we're kind of looking to be the worst team in the league. There's something about it to be able to tank the best. But yeah, we got that win against the Wizards. That was a little disappointing.
Yeah, it pissed me off too. I agree. But it is what it is. You win some and you lose a lot.
And then you lose a lot more. And that's exactly what we did. We lost to the Celtics again. And then we lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers, who want to segue into them really quick because they were on a hot stretch. They won 16 straight before this. And I think this was their second 15 game winning streak of the season, second separate one. So
Hmm.
they just had having some hot stretches. After that, they did lose to the Magic, which I remember seeing Paulo talking his shit as he normally does in that game, and
Hmm.
was very confident, said he knew he was going to beat them, which is funny. But then the Cavs went downhill after that. They lost to the Suns. KD put up 42 on them, gave them 4 straight losses. So yeah, they are 5-5 in their last 10, but still doing well. 60-15, become the second team to reach 60 wins in the NBA. What do you think about their another hot stretch and then their kind of cool off period they had recently?
Yeah, it feels like they might be taking their foot off the gas a little bit. They had a pretty good lead, but now I think the Celtics are within maybe about 3 or 4
Yep,
games.
4 games right now.
Yeah. I don't think they're really at risk of losing that. So I think they are maybe taking their foot off the gas a little bit, making sure they're fresh. Um, they're looking solid, and yeah, I mean to do that twice in one season is pretty impressive. And I also wanted to add, they did play the Magic last year in the playoffs in the first round,
Oh,
so
that's right.
they do have a little bit of history there. I feel like because that went to 7 games with the Cavs ending up winning that. I think I really like the shit talk that Banchero puts out there, man. I think he's just a competitor. He's a dog. He's a good player, so he can back it up.
I 100% agree. I definitely forgot about that little history they had there. Yeah, because I can't, and I think that was like the only good series of either the first round of just the Eastern Conference or just in general. I remember thinking something like that. Like at least we had one good
Yeah,
series or something,
I
and it
think it
was that one.
was. I think it was maybe across the board almost. I think you're onto something there. I can't remember for sure, but it heated up in the second round for sure.
Yeah. But going back to the Suns, wanted to talk about this a little bit because KD he had a bad ankle sprain, rolled up on it.
Mm.
Can't remember who they were playing, but yeah, he is out for a week with that ankle sprain. And dude, this is just surprising me. I know the Suns have been struggling. They're not even in the play-in right now. They are currently sitting at the 11th seed, a full game behind the Sacramento Kings at 10. And now you got your best player who's going to be out for a week and they don't have many games left, man. This might be donezo for the Suns.
Fighting for the 10 seed is pretty tragic in the first place, but the West is stacked this season. It is tough. I mean, it is tight from about like I think 2 to 8 basically. It's like a couple of games, a handful of games maybe. I don't know the exact number, but it's very tight right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
2 to
They are
6 is a 5-game difference right now.
5 game. Oh, okay, so maybe
Hmm.
it was a little wider than I thought.
But I
But
think
it's
3 to 6 is 3 games, so it's a little bit
yeah,
tighter
it's a
there.
it's a tough It's been a tough conference. West is the West, and it's been that way for a while. Sun should be better than that. It's
Dude.
they got issues over there. They're gonna. I mean, if they don't make the playoffs, which is looking relatively likely, they got to blow it up, and they don't have anything to fall back on. They've got like hardly any picks. I mean, they need to do a little Rudy Gobert trade or
Yeah,
something.
seriously. Well, and I know Bradley Beal is one of only 2 players, including LeBron James, that has a no trade clause in his contract or something. So, like,
Dude, the
they,
Bradley Beal experiment has been a total failure. I think KD's done fine there. Obviously,
hmm
Devin Booker's the guy, and with KD, Bradley Beal does. It just felt like it's never happened with him there.
what have his numbers been like? Like, has he
They
been?
look decent, but they're not what he was. I don't know. I mean, it makes sense. You're with other stars. It's just really, I don't know, man. It doesn't make sense how bad the Suns are because it feels like another, like how the Nets did, when they got Kyrie and Harden and KD. It kind of feels like that kind of experiment again, but way worse. And I can't quite put my finger on what's wrong. Maybe they don't have the right supporting cast compared to what the Nets did, but I
It's like
really
he's
like KD. I think KD plays a good game, and it's tough to see him on this team that just can't figure it out. And now his ankle's fucking freaking broken. Oh, I can swear. What am I doing?
yeah, you can swear on here, no worries. I do it all the time. I
Oh
was
yeah,
looking up Bradley. He's not playing tonight. I guess he's got a hamstring injury, so
yeah, I bet.
I don't even know what he's. Yeah, right. That sucks, man. That Suns team, they should, like you said, should be a lot better. I get that it's a tough conference, but I mean, the Dallas Mavericks are in the play-in right now. Like that's the wild thing to me.
Yeah, I agree. That's crazy considering how much flack they got for that trade, and they're
Yeah,
doing better than
right.
the
I mean,
Suns.
they're still winning
The
more
dang Suns, dude.
games.
The Sun. I don't even like. The more I think about it, the more it pisses me off. We got to stop talking about the Suns.
Well, let's go back to the Grizzlies, who we lost to. But I want to talk a little bit more about them because they fired their head coach, Taylor Jensen, after 6 seasons with the team. Less than a month before the playoffs, I think they had 9 games at the time of the firing left. They were the 5th seed in the West. And some other things, he had the most wins in franchise history as a head coach, 250 of them. I did listen to a report from Sham Charania said that he had progressively lost the locker room, and their recent bad stretch had major effects on what led to this decision. They are 3-7 in their last 10 on a 3-game losing streak currently, so definitely on the struggle bus. But I mean, they're still 44-31. You're 9 games before the playoffs, and I think he's a good coach. And now everybody's like, he's going to be number one for the coaching cycle next season for whoever has openings. I don't know. We had a few battles with him at the Jazz in his early part of his career, and
Yeah,
I always thought, had a healthy worry for what he could bring. I've always had a lot of respect for him. I
yeah,
think this is a bonehead move, even if you're losing the locker room. I mean, we've seen it time and time again with these coaches. JB Bickerstaff, we talked about a lot last time, where he look what he's doing in Detroit right now. Now I get that the Cavs got better, but the Grizzlies, I don't know. That and especially this season, if it's gonna go downhill, you lose in the first round of the playoffs and you move on from him. Then
yeah.
this right now, this is just idiotic in my opinion.
Totally agree. That's exactly what I was thinking. I mean, if you're feeling this way about Taylor Jensen, then do it in the off season. Like, let's
Mm-hmm.
get through the end of the 9 games, get through the maybe first round exit. I don't believe that they looked that bad. I mean, yeah, they're on a bad stretch, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got a pretty solid team there, and they had a chance to, make something happen. Have they even named a new head coach yet, or is that still? I
It's
actually
just
haven't
their
even heard.
interim.
They've
I
got an
can't
interim.
remember. I
Okay.
heard it was some, like, probably their assistant something. I can't
Yeah.
remember exactly, but yeah.
It makes no sense to me. Later on, it's gonna come out. I think that Taylor Jensen fucked someone's wife. I
Yeah,
just,
that's
I
exactly.
either that or he made John Morant like holster his gun. But like There's no in between.
that's, that's exactly right. I like totally forgot that I was saying that too. Like there's something, you're 100% right. There's got to be something there, right? And another Emike Udoka situation or
Yeah,
whatever,
exactly.
because
Like,
this is just insane timing. And yeah, if there's not, like, that's what I think that's what I said. I was like, I almost hope that there is, not obviously whatever would have happened, but because this just doesn't make sense.
yeah.
You know what I
Well,
mean? Like this
dude,
is just
I
stupid.
like I like Will Hardy, but man,
Yeah, right.
should we go pick him up? I mean, my goodness.
Especially if we get Cooper Flag, and then you have a guy that's going to be ready to roll, knows how to win games. I don't
I mean,
know.
6 years of experience versus what? I guess 3 years for Will Hardy of just losing.
Mediocre teams
It's not
and
his fault.
at
I,
best,
I can't blame
exactly.
him for anything, but that's why I'm like, I don't have a reason to doubt him, but there's reason to believe in Taylor
Believe
Jensen.
in, yes,
It makes no sense. Anyways, what a
100%.
you said bonehead move. I'm gonna call it a clown move or whatever we were saying last week. My
Clown
goodness.
move. Yep. Shout out Feist. That's what you would call it.
Yeah, Feist has been on that.
All right. Well, moving back into the Jazz, this same day, Jordan Clarkson was ruled out for the season with his after undergoing a procedure for the plantar fasciitis that he's been dealing with for the entire season. I think
Yeah,
it's been.
I think it's legit. I think this is
Yeah,
legit.
this one. And I know plantar fasciitis. I've had it before, and it sucks. It's nagging. You can't get rid of it, and especially if you're going to be running as much as an NBA player like him does, you're going to be feeling it. It's not
Yeah.
like you can just stay off if you're playing. But yeah, this is sad, man. And I posed this question to you individually, but I'll pose it on here as well. You think there's a chance is the last time we've seen Clarkson in a Jazz jersey?
There's a part of me that totally believes that that's probably the case, but I would love to see him stay. Honestly, I've really liked Jordan Clarkson the entire time he's been here. He's the longest tenured player right now on the Jazz, so
Mm-hmm.
having him go would be I mean, the complete end of the old era,
The
I
last
think.
era, yeah.
So, I don't know. I think that he's had a tough season, even when he has been playing. He's been pretty. I mean, he's always been a bit of a hit or miss player, but he's been a little off this season. He's had some pretty tough
Yeah.
shooting performances, and I think it totally could be rooting from just not feeling right coming up off the floor. Like he doesn't have the same like ability to get up because his foot hurts all the time from plantar
Yeah.
fasciitis. So I hope that we can keep him and that he feels better by next season. Because I feel like depending on how the draft goes, there's a chance the Jazz need someone like him that can really just be a certified bucket for him.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I feel kind of the same way. Where either way, I think it'll work out. Like obviously, everybody in Utah loves him, and I think he genuinely loves it here. I've said it multiple times to all
Yeah.
kinds of people. I'm surprised. You know what I mean? Like I'm surprised because he's such a player that could go anywhere and just
Oh yeah.
be such a valuable piece. So like surprised that it doesn't ever seem like he's been that guy where he wants to go to a Cleveland, go reunite with Donovan, or Boston or Oklahoma, whatever, be that kind of vet for those young guys. Like
Yeah.
he would be perfect, and he would be a piece that Danny could get a lot for sure. I'm
Hmm.
sure, but you pair him with Cooper Flag, Lowry Marketing, like he'd be a perfect guy to come off the bench and just get some shooting going and kind of take some flack off a flag or whatever. So
Yeah.
I would love it either way. Yeah, personally, I said it to you like because we all know how bad of jersey luck I have, but if we could get Clarkson to retire as a Jasmine, then I would buy his jersey for sure. Just because I feel like as soon as I do buy it, and it's not like I don't have any faith in him or I don't love him or anything, but it's like as soon as I do buy it, boom, that's when he's going to be
Yeah.
shipped out of town.
Yeah. I really do. I love him as a sixth man more than anything, probably. He was so
Hmm.
good already for the Jazz as the sixth man of the year, by the way. He's just so good at that. He comes off with energy. He's got that green light. Like you just gotta believe in him because that's what he's always done. And I just think that that's the best like role for him. So I would love to see him stay at this point because I believe that he had all the power to either already have requested a trade or just been like, we're tanking, send me somewhere else. I,
Yeah,
I totally believe he could have done that at this point. And he seems pretty happy. He's a great vibes guy. I
one
just, there's
hundred percent.
many reasons I really like Clarkson. So, hey, we'll see what happens. I hope it's not the last time we see him, but I also understand there's a
If it
solid chance
is.
that it could be, you know.
Yeah. Yep. I feel the exact same way. I'm sure all of Utah Jazz fans feel the same exact way as well. So
Yeah.
we'll have to see. All right, let's get back into our stretch. So after that loss, we had another loss to the Rockets. Then we had a loss to the Nuggets. This one was insane. Obviously, we've been talking about Jokic, you and I both on the MVP course for him. We think he is the MVP with SGA's amazing season, but man, in this game, I mean, only Jokic could do some shit like this, but
Mm.
off of one leg, one armed, and just like I don't even know how to describe it. It wasn't just like like a normal like overhead throw like a bunch of players do. He like was balancing it like it was some plate or something, and then just kind of like chucked it up from 3/4 court and sunk it at the end of the. I think it was the end of the half. Yeah, the end of the half. So Jokic doing Jokic things and kicking our asses in that game.
Yeah, my goodness. That's just what Jokic is gonna do to a team like us. But that shot was awesome. And someone said back in the day that he kind of looks like he's playing in slides. That's a
Yeah, yeah,
perfect example
yep,
of him doing that. Like he's just messing around out there. 70 or what, like three-fourths court,
yep.
three-fourths court heave, just making it look easy. He makes everything look easy. That's Jokic. There you go.
That's Jokic, baby. And then just yesterday, we lost again to the Hornets. So a
Good
good
loss.
loss for us
Good
there.
loss.
Yes, another team that's still in the one of the three in the tankathon race with the best odds. Couple things in this game though. Isaiah Collier. Never thought I would say this, man. Never thought I would say this, but someone broke a John Stockton assist record.
Mm.
That is just insane to think about, to think that that's a real thing that someone can say. But Isaiah Collier breaks the rookie Jazz record for most assists in a single season, man. So love to see this from our young guy. He's definitely, I mean, like, I feel like given the circumstances, I would say like maybe he's had the best season of anyone on the team. Now, not saying he's like the best player but like being the 29th pick, having that, and then just coming from like being in all these different roles and then being kind of thrust in the spotlight when we're
Yeah.
not playing anybody.
Yeah.
It's been an awesome season for him. Definitely a bright spot in this dark, dark season.
Yeah, I honestly totally agree with that. He's like I was slow to be convinced on him early in the season, but once he started getting a few more minutes, he was looking pretty smooth, and yeah, those assists were racking up. So it's just so impressive to beat a John Stockton assist record. Just that, how is that possible? How is
Right.
that even? He is the assist guy. Um, we did notice he's getting he had the green light because of the season we were having. He got a lot of minutes for a rookie.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and I would honestly put Kyle Filipowski pretty close to him. They both had probably the most
Yes.
important seasons for the Jazz moving forward because everyone else was either sitting out as much as they could or Cody Williams. So,
Yeah. Cody
I
Williams.
don't. I shouldn't. I just pissed myself off. What am I doing?
Yeah, man, it really is. I feel like Philip has kind of played the like Lowry role pretty much, in this season
He,
with
he gets double doubles pretty frequently recently, man. He's getting those rebounds. I mean, he's tall, and
yeah,
then yeah, and
14 and 13 he had this last game. Not a great shooting night
yeah,
for him, but still overall productive. And yeah, Collier doing his thing, man. That was awesome to see. Obviously, he's
love it.
been rookie of the month, and I think he could be another piece, going forward. I can't imagine
I
what
hope.
he could do with some more, development. And just if you have
Mm,
Lowry and Cooper Flag on your team to pass to,
yeah.
he can find those guys for sure. So that'll be awesome.
Yep, excited to see what he does, man.
Heck yeah. And to finish this off for the Jazz portion, we've broken a record, my friend. The first time in franchise history to reach 60 losses in a single season. And already before, I think we have like 7 more games, we have already clinched our worst record of all time as a
Wow.
franchise. So
Wow.
Yeah, it has been that kind of season and definitely a tanking season. I think like we talked about last time, if we wanted to, like if we played all our guys, well, we maybe win 10, 15 more games or
Yeah,
something
at
and not
most.
even be in the play-in conversation. So
No, it's the
that
West. It's the West. The Suns can't even get in, man. Like it's ridiculous. It's
and it's
just
just a good thing we did it,
it
finally.
is
This is finally a
finally,
good thing we did it. This is what we
finally.
need to do. I get that we want to de-incentivize tanking, but when you got a guy like Cooper Flag, when you have a team like in our situation where yeah, like you literally just can't be competitive enough. We're so young
Yeah,
to make it further. So yeah, this is what we need to do. Get a full reset. Hopefully next season, even with Cooper Flag, we can
yeah.
turn the tides.
Hopefully, I mean, it's been a long season. I am surprised to hear that stat. I did not know that this is the worst season ever for us, but it's felt like it. It's
I
felt
know.
like
I
it
almost
hurt.
wanted. I wanted to tell you earlier today, but I was like, "Ooh, this will be a good thing to say for Sean on the podcast. See if
Yeah.
I can get him with it." But yeah.
Now I'm gonna cry.
Well, if we get Cooper Flag, it's all worth it. We'll never remember that season. We'll never think about that really that
It,
much, unless
well,
unless the only
we'll
reason we'll
say
say is
thank God it happened. Hey.
yep, for Cooper Flag. Exactly. All right, let's flip course. Let's go from the bottom of the league, not just the Western Conference, the league, to the top of the league, to
Oh,
Feisty's Thunder. So the last thing we left off on was a loss against the Nuggets. That was their first loss in 7 games at that point. But then they followed it up with a win against the Celtics, swept the season series with them. Then they beat the Pistons, Bucks, 76ers, Hornets, Clippers, and Kings. And that was their 60th win of the season and another 7 straight victory. And I didn't notice, but during this stretch, they didn't have Jalen Williams during that entire stretch. Their all star, Jalen
really?
Williams. Yeah.
Oh yeah, can be confusing to me. I didn't even know that. I really didn't know that.
hmm
Dang, bad fan of the NBA right now. But I really like Jalen Williams. I think he's a huge part of their team. So to see that they're winning like that, Chet came back. That's got
yep.
to be helping them. I mean, assuming they're all healthy by end of the season, there
Mm.
might be actually scarier than I thought a few weeks ago. Even my goodness, man, 10 games straight right now. That is
Yeah.
at the end of the season when most teams are taking their foot off the
Especially, I
gas.
mean, they have
They're
a
winning.
14 and a half game lead. They have like
Oh,
very
it's not even in the
easily
West.
in the
That's
West.
what
Oh
I've been talking about. Like, this is the
goodness.
third time I've said that already, right? Like, the West is tough. The West is
Yeah,
so tough, and they're blowing it out of the water. So I think, I mean, it's about time
for
they
this
to
Thunder team to make a run.
like, yeah, if they, I mean, last year it was acceptable that they dropped in the second round
Yeah.
just because they were also young for the most part. It was their first time really being in there. Um, they got to do something this season because it's just impressive what they're up to right now.
Yes, definitely. Like you said, they got 10 straight wins. They beat the Grizzlies, Pacers, and Bulls on that stretch. And they also have an NBA record 28 wins against the opposing conference. So that's pretty impressive to see. And yeah, like you said, they're primed for a good position. I mean, whoever
Yeah.
they get in that 8 seed, I mean, Clippers are right there. You never know. They've been
Oh,
they've been looking
imagine.
kind
Oh
of
my God.
interesting. I mean, I don't know if you saw this, but it's been a while. But Kawhi Leonard, he had a sick left-handed floater against 4 defenders to beat the buzzer in
Hmm.
overtime against the Kings, and he actually showed some real emotion. Man, he ran around and was screaming and everything, and looked like a real human being for once. And then obviously we know James Harden's been doing his thing and have been having kind of, it's weird to say, but like, yeah, a resurgence type of a season where he's been kind of the main guy with Kawhi being sidelined for so much. So yeah, the Clippers are sitting at the 8 seed right now. As you never know how that playing will shape up, but that would be kind of an interesting series. I would
I
still
agree.
definitely take the Thunder, but like
Right.
they could
You
definitely do something if they were all healthy.
you wouldn't want to like you wouldn't want to see those people in the eighth seed in the first round, like to
Right.
start, because like you're gonna have to battle. Like there's just no way it's gonna be that easy. I mean, I agree. Like you still take OKC there probably, but
But yeah,
not
they
who you
got
want to see.
Kawhi,
Not who you
Zubac,
want to see.
Harden, Powell, who's been playing real well this
A bunch
season,
of
Chris
very
Dunn.
experienced players, and two-way players, and I mean, yeah, it's not going to be a fun series for any one seed. You want to see someone that you're going to blow out 4-0 so you can just
Yeah.
get to the next season or sorry, or next series.
Series.
My
There
goodness.
you go.
Yeah, but it was yeah, I'm pretty impressed by I got to see them on right around Valentine's Day actually
Hmm.
playing, and I was like, man, Harden is looking like himself again, like, and he's older. I mean, I want to say he's 36, 37 or something like that. He's playing great, man. He's playing really great this season. And yeah, I think when Kawhi plays, he's Kawhi. He just doesn't play very much. So,
Yeah, exactly.
in the playoffs, yeah, it could be interesting. That would be a fun series for sure.
Yeah, man. He is averaging 22, 8, and 6 right now. Um, yeah, he's having a
So
great
Harden was?
season. Yeah, and then
Wow,
Powell's
that's
averaging
good.
22 as well. And then I think we saw this. Our old our jazz man Chris Dunn. He's third or something or fifth in the NBA in steals, so he's obviously playing a good role for them.
Mm,
And yeah, they got a team. I think them and the Timberwolves. They're seventh, eighth seed right now.
mm.
I feel like you got 9, 10 Mavericks and Kings, and then if you get the Suns in there, I think those two teams are going to be the ones kicked out, obviously, and you're going to have those.
Probably.
I think the Clippers and Timberwolves should be able to handle that. You never know; it's only that one game thing, but
Yeah.
yeah, those other teams definitely on a lower level. So it'll be interesting, man. And we got a lot more going on in the Western Conference. We haven't got a chance to talk about this, but De'Aaron Fox also out for the year, undergoing season-ending surgery for a ligament damage on his left pinky. So that San Antonio Spurs curse continues to just roll along, man. And
Damn.
what was once a promising season has turned into they are third to last in the Western Conference, only above us and the Pelicans, who have been clearly
Wow.
tanking.
Honestly, that's probably a good outcome for them at this point because, yeah, I mean, Victor goes down with his blood clot situation and then into a Fox season-ending thing. I think they're going to come back next season and make the playoffs with that team. So, and they're going to add something this
Yeah,
offseason, most likely, whether it's through making moves in the draft or just making other moves. Who knows, really? They're totally primed. They are in a situation that anyone would love to be in. I would love to have something like this happen for the Jazz. Their rebuild has been great. And I don't even feel like they had to do the full. I mean, they've kind of tanked the last couple of seasons, but it's been great. So
yeah,
we need something like that to happen here.
definitely. Yep, and I've said it that Cooper Flag is on the level of Wemby and Zion, and as far like I feel like since LeBron, we haven't had those three are like
Yeah,
in a different category.
yeah.
And Wemby looks definitely like in his zone because Zion hasn't been on the court, and this one thing with Wemby was definitely terrible, but when he's on, it's insane. So
Undeniably great. He is
one.
on both ends of the court, just going to be a problem for a long time.
Right? Were we I mean, he was were you saying or were we just talking about he probably would have been defensive player of the year, we feel like,
I
if he
think
was
oh,
healthy all
100%.
season?
100%. He's I think he's still leading total blocks on the season right now.
Oh yeah,
And
that was what you
he's not
said.
been playing him for over a month now. I
And
mean, my
isn't Kessler second? And
yes.
he
And
hasn't been
dude,
playing a lot
he's a
either.
part-time employee. So you got Victor that's been out for a month. You got part-time employee Walker Kessler. Um yeah, it's been like
Just leading the
who do
league
you
in
even give it
blocks.
to now? Who do you even give it to now?
I wonder, that's hilarious that like it's maybe a direct effect of just how the game has changed. You know what I mean? Everybody's shooting threes a lot harder to get blocks out there than
Yeah.
in the paint or something. I guess
Yeah.
because that
That's a
shouldn't
good
be
point.
happening.
That's a good point. And also, I mean, we were actually kind of talking about this recently, but I think his name is Dyson Daniels. Is that right? On Atlanta,
I'll
he's
look it up for sure.
he's
Not a minor guy by any means. He's a
yeah,
major
no, he's in
player.
his third season now. He just got traded to Atlanta this season from the Pelicans, I think, and nobody wants to be there. He's been doing great, man. But he's averaging over 3 steals a game, which is I feel like totally unheard of. Like I can't think of a season in recent memory, at least, probably not since I mean, God, maybe in my lifetime that someone's had that many steals in a season, and maybe that's a proponent of like blocks not happening as much, so you have to get steals.
Yeah.
But steals seem to be almost more valuable right now. I mean, that's leading to the fast break. You're getting points off steals.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting 3 of them a game, which is more than I think the next closest is like averaging 1.7 or 1.8 steals per
1.8, and
game.
it might have been Jokic, I think.
I think you're right. I think you're.
Yeah.
I mean, Dude, I think there's a solid case to say that you got to
He
give
should
it to
be
the
the
steals guy right now. Otherwise, it's like maybe Brooke Lopez. I really don't
yeah.
know, and that doesn't even feel right. No
Well,
offense
he
to Brooke
did. Dyson
Lopez.
did just win Defensive Player of the Month or whatever.
Yeah, maybe
For
that'll
yeah, averaging
raise his stock up,
3.3.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I think he should be defensive player of the year too. I think that would be really cool to kind of shift it over. Like I was saying, like it really, I feel like Rudy Gobert almost ruined this award to an extent where it became the best shot blocker of the year award.
Yeah.
And I know like Draymond Green had his run and is definitely more than just a shot blocker, but I
Mm,
feel like since Rudy kind of took over and had that really good stretch, and whoever was in between him, like Jaren Jackson Jr., I believe was there once, and he's a shot blocker too as well, you know. So this would be cool to get a guy like that that is
yeah.
really, and like you said, those blocks, you know, a lot of those blocks go out of bounds or you know see what happened, and
Exactly.
it's awfully oftentimes hard to, even if it does go to your player, like to set up a fast break, it's always kind of crazy, you know what I
You're
mean? It's
probably
still a
yeah,
little
you're
bit
probably
easier.
not getting the fast break. You're probably getting a half court set defense, which is the
Hmm.
hardest defense to play. I mean, it's what you play against most of the game, but I mean, if you could get a steal into a fast break versus a block into their possession again, or a block that leads to a half court possession, I mean, you got to take that steal. I feel like it's a more valuable stat, especially in a more modern NBA where it's such a fast moving game.
All right, let's move along to the Warriors because we have some history to talk about, my friend. Stephen Curry. He became the first player in NBA history with 4,000 career 3 pointers. Um, wow. I mean, just amazing. It feels like just yesterday, I think he passed Ray Allen for when it was like 2,990 something or something like that. 4K, man. And it was scary. I think it was the same, might have been the same week he had a really bad fall, and it looked like he might have hurt something in his back pretty bad, but avoided major injury, back on the court. And currently, right now, he is playing the Memphis Grizzlies. They are 2 minutes left in the third quarter as we're recording this. Right now, he has 45 points and is shooting 11 of 15 from three.
Nah,
Yes, sir.
I
That
might need to be
was
pulling something up on
yep,
the other
I did the same
screen
exact
here.
thing because we took a
Oh my.
break real quick. Yes, he is 3 away, I believe, from tying Clay Thompson's record for most in a game. So
Oh
right
man.
there is going to be interesting. Got a whole quarter plus some to go. So yeah, we'll definitely have to keep our eyes on that as we're doing this. Oh, looks like he did just hit the bench real quick. So maybe
Yeah,
we have some
he
time.
he is old. I mean, give him a break at least. My dude, honestly, he's another person who's been so impressive this season. I mean, he's only a couple years younger than LeBron. I want to say two, maybe three. Dude, he's been so good this season. And like he needs help out. I wish he had a better team because honestly the Warriors I guess getting Butler was a great thing, honestly.
Yes,
I
yes.
must I gotta say that was a good move because you're almost squandering something that shouldn't have even happened. It feels like, why is Steph Curry still this good? Why is
Right.
LeBron still this good? It's just like some of these guys have just taken such great care of themselves. And the thing about Curry is he's moving so much and he's still so
Yep.
good at it. Like he's just in tip top shape. My goodness, man. 11 threes tonight. That's
I
blowing
know.
my
I,
mind. My
I was
goodness.
excited to tell you about that. Yeah, and they, like you said, I think they've climbed themselves out of a hole. I believe
Yeah.
before the Butler trade, they were in the playing conversation, even like lower in. They might have been ninth,
Really?
10th seed for a
Yeah, I was
while.
thinking like 8, 9 maybe. Yeah,
Yeah,
damn.
some around there, and they've definitely been hot. They're currently 7-3 in their last 10. The Nuggets did hand them their first home loss the other week against the Warriors since January, and that was with all big three. You know, Jokic, Murray, Christian Braun had a great game that
Mhm.
time,
Mhm.
and then the Nuggets, they're kind of on a hot streak as well. They were on a little one. They like Murray. He's kind of getting back into form. I feel like every time it comes around playoff season, that's what he did. He does, and he dropped 39, snapped the Rockets' night game win streak, where they're the second in the West right now, and they're just also just another hot team right at the top that I feel like nobody's even talking about. So that top of
Yeah.
the West, man, it's looking interesting.
It makes no sense. Some of these teams just make no sense. Like like the Rockets really have just played great basketball all season, and I
Yeah.
feel like I've totally discounted it. Like This season is there's a lot of, especially in the, I feel like the West mostly, which is
Yeah.
funny, but there's just a lot of things that could happen. It feels like there's so many teams that are legitimate, like, potential contenders just based on like their pedigree, like the Warriors, for example, or just based on like you can't tell. Like, what if the Rockets are really that good? What if they totally make a Cinderella run? What if OKC is just that much better than everyone? Who
Yeah.
knows?
It's gonna be it's gonna be crazy to see, man.
I, ca-
100%.
I
It's
feel like the end of this regular season is gotta happen real quick right now because it's about time to watch some playoff basketball.
Yes, sir. I couldn't agree more, man. Jokic, he's just been doing his freaking thing, dude. Like again, we talked about that one shot. He had another just behind the back, or not behind the back, over the shoulder, no
Yeah.
look pass. That didn't even seem like he would actually pass the ball. The ball almost seemed to like float out of his hands. Only way Jokic can do it, man. And he's just seeming to get that on. So like that's where I believe that was my pick for the Western Conference champion. I think I said Nuggets Celtics just because of that man and just the like you said, the pedigree, the experience that they have in the Western
Are you
Conference.
sure?
So
Are you sure you said Nuggets? Cause I said Nuggets. Nuggets Cavs. Did we both go Nuggets on that?
I think so because I went with the experience. I know I didn't pick the Lakers, which we'll talk about, and I think I picked the Nuggets because of their experience. I think I picked them and the
Dude,
Thunder in the Western Conference.
because at that time Jamal Murray hadn't turned up yet, and we just
Yeah,
knew it was coming.
exactly.
We just knew it was coming. But I feel like, to an extent, like, okay, we made that pick about a month ago, I think.
Yes.
I mean, I have to admit, OKC is scaring me a little bit on my
Hmm.
pick, but I feel like that's the biggest threat, maybe. Am I
But then, are you discrediting Houston again? Right there, you know what I mean? Like
right
what?
back? Right back. I mean, within a minute. I'm just
Right? Seriously? Oh yeah, forgot about them already. Yeah,
uh,
that's just gonna be
but
interesting,
okay,
man.
but what if? Okay, I believe the Rockets are gonna wind up being maybe OKC last year, where they just like they're
Mm-hmm.
good, but they're
This is their
young
first
and
kind of
no
stretch at the
experience.
top,
So
and
that's
yeah,
okay. Okay, that's where I'm at
there
officially.
you
It took me a couple of minutes to get here,
go.
but
Well, it's just going to make those matchups interesting, right? Because like we were talking about with the Thunder, they're either looking around, maybe playing the Timberwolves or the Clippers,
yeah.
depending on how it shakes out. And the Warriors are only half game ahead of the Timberwolves in that sixth spot right now, so they could play the
Wait,
Warriors.
didn't was it the Timberwolves last year that knocked out OKC, or was it? I might be wrong.
Ooh,
Oh, that's bugging me.
I think the Mavs knocked out the Timberwolves. I remember that.
Oh, but wasn't it in
Who
the
did they play in
finals?
the?
Wasn't it in
Oh,
the Western Conference Finals?
I might have been, but I don't think I can't remember now. I know I remember I was definitely on Minnesota's side, but yeah, maybe you could look that up and let's get into the LA Lakers
It was the
Feisty's
Mavs.
Daddy Brown. What
It was the Mavs. The Mavs beat them. Okay.
in the Western Conference Finals? What? Oh no, the Thunder.
Yeah, last year they beat the Thunder
Okay,
in the second round. Yeah,
okay. Was the Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals?
finals. Yeah,
Okay,
and
gotcha.
then they beat them as well.
Yeah. And then they traded away the guy who brought him there. But let's talk about the team he's on now. So we talked about it last time when Braun had that injury, the groin injury, that Simon was very concerned about him. Um, and for good reason, because they went on a 4-game losing streak right after that, and ended that with a win over the Suns. Got kind of back to a good flow. They went on a 3-game winning streak. Then we had LeBron come back to the court and they lose to the Bulls at home by 30, bro. I mean, this is
Mm.
what we were talking about, looking a little scary because like whew, scaring the insides out of me. It's looking a little interesting, and especially the depth, right? The depth and the defense. So obviously Luka did his thing in this game. He had 34 points. Braun had 17, 6 and 4, nothing crazy. And then Austin Reeves had 25. So those three kind of had a good game. Hayes had 10. Dorian Finney-Smith had 2. That's
Mm.
their starting five. And then their bench combined for 2 points, 5 points, 0, 0, 6, 2, 4, 2, and 6. So just like nobody, it's all those three guys, obviously, who can score the
Wow.
ball. Jackson Hayes is the big guy that you're forcing on, everything upon. And I don't think he's like, that guy, but he's just the only body they have. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm getting a little worried about the Lakers' depth, man, and definitely their defense as well.
Yeah. I mean, the Lakers defense was incredible coming out of that trade. And that was I think I mentioned it on the podcast. It was
Hmm.
the big surprise to me. It made no
Yep.
sense. Like that was the whole reason it was going to be a problem, right? And then their defense was incredible. And then reality hit. Here we
Hmm.
are. I think that it's been a weird little phase for them. With the LeBron injury, I think they had some maybe different reps going on, and then getting back to LeBron reps, it could have been a little bit different. It's kind of hard to say what's really happening here, but man, yeah, I don't think the Lakers are screaming as a favorite to come out of the Western Conference after the stretch. I mean,
Yeah, it's looking tough, man, and
but I mean, I feel like those guys have a playoff mode, so
mhm.
maybe it's hard to judge based on what's happening now versus what they want to do in the playoffs.
You know what you're seeing, man, is you're seeing teams go at Luka too, especially in end of game situations where
Yeah,
like you can't leave Luka off the court, obviously,
yeah. What do
but they are going at him, and we saw this a lot in the game they had their next game, which was against the Pacers, and a guy like Tyrese Halliburton was just carving him up. They were switching every single time, trying to get Luka on Tyrese, and Luka just. I think he's just not a good defender. I
Oh,
think
really?
yeah, it's just like I want to say I don't want to say he's lazy, but I think there's like part of like
You don't want to call him fat. You don't.
no,
You know,
I don't want to be that guy. That's for damn sure. But
I
no,
think.
it's like I
Yeah.
think he's just slow, just bad at defense, and so it looks like he's almost lazy. If that makes sense, I think
Okay,
that's
you've
better.
called
At
him
least he's
everything but
trying
fat
out
now, I
there.
guess. I think that no, yeah, he's definitely not a defensive masterclass, but he really puts it out there on offense. So,
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like he could find it within himself, especially in the playoffs, to play a little bit better defense, you know. I think
yeah,
I saw it last year. I really think that he did play harder on defense in the playoffs, and that is not necessarily the reason they made it to where they were. They played so great across the board to make it
yeah.
to the finals last year. But
Gonna
I
have
don't
to
know.
tune it up for sure. Is what you're saying once you
I
get to
think
the playoffs.
I think he can do that. I really think that there's a part of him that can at least be a okay defender. You know?
Yeah, they need it. They need it all they can get for sure. And yeah, in that game, so we had something interesting. LeBron was almost held without his double digit scoring streak, which I
Yeah,
think
that's
goes all the
right.
way back to his first game. I don't know if it's every single game he's been
No,
in. Like
it's not
it's
been that long. It's been a long time though. It's a ridiculous
really.
amount of time.
I wonder
It's
when
it.
it is. Because I know it was
I wish
early
I knew
Cavs
off the top of my
days. You
head.
know what I mean? Like it's got to be early Cavs days. If it's not like his, I wonder if there was some random game. But didn't he score like 27 or 22 or something in his debut game? So like,
I,
anyways, it's
yeah.
an insane number.
Hmm.
Thousands upon thousands of games. He was held without a field goal through 3 quarters. Barely gets the double digit scoring record alive, like we said, but tips in a Luka miss at the buzzer to beat the Pacers. So had himself a buzzer beater
That
against the
was sick.
Pacers. Yeah, that was awesome. And this was after, man, his interesting interview with Pat McAfee, which definitely has stirred up yet another round of just NBA off the court controversy that I think I talked to you about. I honestly can believe is just a publicity stunt at this point. Like, because definitely Stephen A has gotten a lot from it. He is going off on it, but Braun basically calling him out, like saying because it went back to the whole Bronny thing that we talked about courtside and all that, and Braun just kind of came on McAfee, and I really don't think did all that much. Like it was just an interview you hadn't really seen Braun in before because McAfee does everything differently. So but he did call out Stephen A little bit in there, like saying he was on a Taylor Swift Eras Run tour right now and would be
Yeah,
so happy to
yeah,
have his
yeah,
name in his
yeah.
mouth. But hey, man, I can't like the whole Barkley thing we talked about, and then yeah, this as well. Like can't hurt the NBA if they're just trying to get more eyes on the sport. It's interesting, man. Stephen A, you know what Stephen A does, so you're definitely creating a lot of hype. But that was yeah, definitely interesting to see. Do you have any thoughts on that situation?
I feel like, yeah, I totally agree. It's kind of a publicity stunt. It just, I just feel like there's not that much going on there, and now it's just like they're in a dry patch in the season, so they're gonna talk about this. I really don't know. I don't think too much into it, honestly. I think they're just messing around.
Yeah, right. But anyways, let's go. Let's move along because it Stephen A had a probably had a field day after this. But the next day, they played a back to back against the Chicago Bulls, and in this game, we'll just skip right to the end because LeBron had himself a bad stretch. Maybe the worst stretch. I don't know that he's been playing for so long. A statement like that's pretty wild to say, but definitely got to be up there. Worst stretch of his career, at least just a 30-second stretch, maybe, where he was just playing terrible defense. So it's a close game here, going down to the wire, and I think he was definitely thinking something else. He was kind of hedging off his guy a little bit, trying to kind of maybe get ready for a cut, doubling somebody, left somebody open, wide open in the corner. Bang, they get the ball. I think bring it to within down 3 or something, and Braun inbounds the ball, and I mean, all but just tosses it into the court. I mean, just laid it right in front of there. Giddy
No.
picks it off, kicks it back out to Kobe White, who hits a three. Bang, tie the game up. Who shout out Kobe White, by the way, Eastern Conference Player of the Month.
On
Definitely,
fire. Zach Levine got
literally.
out of town. All of a sudden, he's the guy.
Then I did not have that on my bingo card. That's for sure. That Chicago team is interesting. They've kind of popped like Giddy's starting to play really well.
I
Quickly's over
know.
there. What's the guy that the our one of our favorite pages, depressed jazz fan, was posting all about like bull move. He's got a tough name. I'm forgetting how to pronounce it right now, but
Oh, Matas Buzelis or
there
whatever.
you go. Yes,
I don't
yes.
know if that's actually how you say it either. But
But that is who I'm talking
how
about.
about we show it to Feist next time? We'll get him to read it.
Exactly. Oh
um,
man. Yeah, they've been kind of popping off, but
yeah, I
anyways,
agree.
yeah. Good
Yeah.
Bulls team. We get into it. So I think after that, so after the Kobe White 3 to tie it up,
Yep.
Reeves got a layup, put him up 2, and
Mm.
then they inbound the ball to Giddy. Giddy hits a half court buzzer beater 3 over LeBron for the win. Oh my gosh. Just a tough stretch for
Tough.
the Lakers and LeBron right there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, God, I don't want to read too much into it because of where we're at in the season, but dang, what a tough sequence right there, huh? Like, there's not much more to say. Um, Kobe White totally deserves his flowers right now, though. He's been playing so great, and honestly, Josh Giddey too. I don't know if anyone wants to admit it, but after his controversies, but he's definitely doing. I think he's been getting some triple doubles recently too. He's. I don't know. Sometimes things come together after a weird trade out like that.
Right. I think it was good for both. Like they got Caruso out of it, and they just had
Right.
so many young pieces that kind of play that same role almost as Josh Giddey, and then Josh Giddey gets to go to a team where he can be more of the guy. You know what I mean? So I think it
Yeah,
really did work out for both teams in this situation.
I agree.
All right, let's finish off the Western Conference real quick, talking about one of our favorite injury-prone guys, Anthony Davis. For the Mavs, obviously we talked about his first game as a Mav, he went off for 3 quarters, got injured, and didn't return until he went to the G League, which I haven't seen this done in the NBA for a while, to rehab that injury, and then returned against the Nets last week and got a win with AD on minutes restriction. So
Yeah,
awesome to see him back. Hopefully he can be healthy. There's no reason to push him for sure right now, but yeah, it's gonna be an interesting Western Conference. Like I said, he could be in the play-in. He could be playing playoff
could
games
be.
this season. That's
Good.
pretty
He
wild.
could be. He really
Uh,
could be. And I don't know. It's funny. It's April Fool's Day today. It's April 1st. But that almost felt like an April Fool's post when I saw that he was going to the G League. Like, why was AD go to the G League for rehab? Is that? I feel like that's not a very normal play. But
Not for
hey,
the NBA. I know a lot, like MLB, they do that all the time where they put their
yeah,
guys in like the AAA or whatever. And I wonder if it was more of a like practice when we were younger or something. But yeah, you just, especially star guys, you don't really see them,
yeah. I mean, AD's
going down there that much.
AD's still a top player in the league, and it's really weird to have him even step foot in the G League. But I mean, Yeah. All that being said, great to see him back. I didn't want to see him go down either. Like I was almost interested to see if the Mavericks really did like almost improve a little bit with like their
Yeah.
defense and just how things worked out in the end. Having him immediately go down really made it hard on them, but they're still hanging around. They could just accidentally get into the playoffs if they. I mean, I think they're stuck in the play-in at this point,
Almost,
probably.
kind of, yeah.
But I mean, hey, AD healthy, that's a good. That could still be a solid team, you know.
I agree. I agree. All right. And then now let's move along to the Eastern Conference. Let's talk about our Philly Suns 76ers, who've been doing a lot of what we did, which is lose, lose, lose. So their first loss since the last time we talked about them was against the Hawks. And then they lost to the Raptors, who Simon's been looking very close at because they're that kind of team that's right below the 76ers in the tankathon, and they need to keep a top, I believe, what did I say? I think I said it last time. They have to keep a top 6 pick, because if they get the 7th pick, they lose it to the Thunder. So if it's 7 or lower, they're going to lose their first round pick.
Wow,
Top guaranteed or what protected, whatever that is. Yeah.
that's
So
tough.
that was an important loss for them against the Raptors. Then they lose to the Pacers. They did get a win, unfortunately, against the Mavericks. I think the AD less Mavericks at that time. They did lose to the Rockets as well, but Quentin Grimes doing his thing went off for 46 in that loss. And then it came out just after that game that Paul George is officially done for the season, received injections for nagging adductor and knee injuries. I can only imagine what our boy Philly Sign would say if he was here with us today about that. But yeah, he might be able to get an early start on his podcast and yeah, get in there. That
Yeah,
what a tough scene for them
bro.
with
Why did
that
he
whole
even start?
situation.
He should have never started taking a break from the podcast. He should have just kept it rolling because all they did since he started taking that break was lose anyways.
Oh my gosh,
And then he got injections and I don't know. I mean, he did have that horrible knee injury, so I mean that could be a legitimate thing, but it seemed like he was ready to go when he was making that announcement, but things can
it
happen.
did not change at all. Yeah. And
The Sixers are just in a weird spot right now. I hope they can keep their pick because my goodness, that would be bad.
imagine, and I think it might still come down to the lottery. You know what I mean? So they just really need
Yeah.
better odds because they
Oh,
could get. I think we were worried
they could
about
get
that a
Cooper
season or two
Flag.
ago. Imagine, bro, I would be so pissed.
Yeah.
Oh man! All right, then they lost to the Thunder. They lost to the Spurs, Hawks, Pelicans. Who Pelicans have officially shut down Zion and CJ McCollum for the rest of the season. No
Yep.
surprises there. You just hope that Zion could get on the court. He is on record earlier this season saying he's an employee of the Pelicans, which I think I might have talked about, but how
Yeah.
he wants to be out there more. But they're trying to manage him and all that, which in this, scenario, they're tanking. There's no reason to play him. But with his history, man, it just feels like his time in New Orleans, like he might need to leave. Like he might need to go somewhere else almost.
I'm not convinced he really wants to be there either. So,
Yeah.
based on his comments across the last couple of years, I mean, this season he stayed mostly healthy, other than being an employee and getting shut down, I think. So,
Yeah, I feel like he's been shut down intentionally more than actually not been healthy, but
yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, finishing out with them, the 76ers, going back to them, they also lost to the Wizards. They lost to the Heat, Raptors again, and Knicks again. So
Mm,
definitely killing it on their tankathon as well.
doing better.
Let's get into some other highlights in the Eastern Conference. Wanted to talk about this game a little bit, the Pacers and the Timberwolves. I think Tyrese Halliburton was out this game, so Obi Toppin, of all people, stepped up with 34 points, 10 rebounds, and a game-winning, highly contested corner three. So
Yeah.
that was awesome to see. And we had some of our favorite Rudy Gobert doing Rudy Gobert type things that only he can do. He got into a fight with Andrew Nebhard, who he got mad because he elbowed Mike Conley in the face, and Rudy came over to like defend, but only in like Rudy's way, where he's not just like a normal shove or trying to go for a punch, just like some kind of elbow to his face or something like Rudy Gobert does that you're like every time like, dude, This is why you get so many memes on you and get so much hate from people because you do kind of
Dude,
make yourself look a little ridiculous when you do stuff like that.
yeah, he's just so French and so 7'1". He just can't help it, I think. It is strange. Like, why is he always doing weird things? Like, why
I
can't he
don't.
just I
I
feel like
don't
every
know,
single
man.
time I see something happen, like, or he gets into a fight with like, was it Joel Embiid in the Olympics or something like that, and he's like holding him
Yeah,
like
yeah.
right onto his
Somebody.
nuts or something like that. Like, it's like, what are we doing, man? Like, why are we always doing weird things? Let's just do it normally.
Yeah, I
But
I agree. But
I love
that's the
Rudy.
that's
I
the
do love
Timberwolves.
Rudy to an extent, but he does sometimes deserve what he gets.
Yep, it does for sure. And then so yeah, they were on an 8-game winning streak at that point. They've kind of been hot as of late. The Timberwolves, they're 7-3 in their last 10. And then let's get into the Detroit Pistons, who we've been talking a lot about this season. They have been killing it as well. And Cade Cunningham, I think you sent this to me, just had an insane game winner over Bam Adebayo. He's
Mhm.
really been just on fire as of late, as have the Pistons overall. And I think I sent something today about the gosh, I keep saying the Timberwolves. We're just talking about them, but the Pistons, like social media manager calling out Legion Hoops on Twitter or something because they said free Kate Cunningham earlier this season or whatever,
Mhm.
kept all the receipts and everything, have just been going off. And maybe this is why I have them in the mic because they just played the Timberwolves and got into a massive brawl with them. Yeah, similar to like that with your guests, just knocking everything. That's exactly what the cameras looked like in Minnesota. But Isaiah Stewart, of course, who would have thought, was in the middle of it. He got suspended 2 games for this. He didn't even play like that crazy of a role, but he definitely did get in there, start to shove and things like that. And then 4 more players: Dante DiVincenzo, Naz Reid for the Timberwolves got suspended a game, and then Marcus Sasser and Ron Holland the second got a 1-game suspension as well for that crazy fight.
Dude, yeah, that was a weird little fight. Isaiah Stewart always getting involved in things. I feel like he kind of did deserve
Yeah, that's what they
that.
said
Yeah,
too,
the
is
repeated
because of
behavior,
the
right?
history.
Right.
Yep.
It's just it does make sense. It's been a lot this season. It's been a handful of times, I think. It was kind of weird. I don't know. It was I don't even know what to think of it. Everyone was just getting into it. Did you see the coaches getting into it too?
Yeah, I didn't see that, but I saw that
I
the
didn't see it
Bickerstaff got
either.
ejected or
He got
something.
ejected,
Yeah.
and then like an assistant coach.
I did not see what role they played. I couldn't see in any. I tried to watch it multiple times, but
I
yeah, they
did
got
too.
ejected. Yeah.
I was like trying to find it, and I couldn't find it, and I was like, how does why are these people getting ejected? Um, yeah, it was just a brawl, and you gotta handle that as it is. And also, yeah, I feel like the right people got in trouble for it, so it is what
Yeah.
it is.
A lot of
Dude,
suspensions, definitely.
but I do want to get back to Cade Cunningham. I've been loving seeing
Hmm.
like what he's been up to. He's been on fire, man. He recently had a little bit after a game with was it Malik Beasley where he
Hmm.
said, "Don't touch me, I'm sizzling."
Did
He's
he?
he's been sizzling for a minute now, man. He's really been having some great games, dropping triple doubles. I don't think you got to free him. That team's looking good.
Nope.
That team's looking pretty good.
Dude, and Malik Beasley, you were talking about, he's been sizzling as well.
Yeah,
I think he's still, continuing to build on their single season 3-point record. And then
yeah.
he's got, I think I saw something. He's at the longest active streak of multiple 3-pointers in a game right now in the entire NBA, like 2 or more. So he's been killing it, man. I'd love to see that. Love the shimmy and everything. When he was in Utah, he was a great piece, and definitely a great piece for them. So love to see that success.
Oh
Definitely
yeah.
rooting for him. It's going to be interesting. Right now they're in the 5th seed, right there behind the Pacers. I wonder if that's where they'd end up. That would be an interesting series. You'd think the Pacers have the experience there, but yeah. And then
Yeah.
let's get into the Celtics, dude. So one big news: they have been sold. Bill Kisholm buys them for $6.1 billion, making it the
Whew.
largest sports sale for a sports franchise in North America in history. So they got a new owner, and they're on a hot 6-0 road trip right now, 14-1 in their last 15 games. Believe that Missoula was the coach of the month along with the Thunder coach. They both only lost 1 game in that month. So on a good run, and yeah, in a new ownership. I know we've been hearing about the Celtics were going to be sold for a while, but yeah, now
Yeah.
it's official.
Yeah, I mean, probably a good time to be investing in the Celtics, right? But that's a lot of money. Oh my God, that's a lot of money. I mean, I had to look at it like 3 times. That 6.1 billion. Jeez Louise, man.
Oh boy, yeah.
I mean, yeah, they've been winning. I bet they're making good money right now. But whew, these sports numbers are just going up and up. Contracts, purchasing of teams. There's some money flying in sports.
Seriously, 6.1. That is
That's a
nuts, and
ridiculous
especially
number.
to sell them right now too. You know what I mean? But still,
Yeah, it's a good time to be a Celtics
it's
owner.
six it's
You would
six
think.
billion it's $6 billion. So I mean, if you really, if you might be able to get more, but 6 billion if you don't want to be the owner anymore, it's good. It's a good little check to take home, not to deal with whatever. But
Just a little bit of
yeah,
money.
all right, and then from a team that is doing well to on the other side, the Milwaukee Bucks. Let's talk about them. So, some sad news: Damian Lillard has developed a blood clot in his right calf. So, haven't heard any like official things on him, but we just talked about it earlier with Victor Wembanyama with the blood
Yeah,
clots. Those things that you do not mess around with. So it could definitely assume that he is going to be out for the rest of the season. So that's tough break for a team right now in the 6th seed that definitely you would think. I think we talked about it where we feel like the Cavs and Celtics are on another level in the
yeah.
East, but you think the Bucks could make a run, especially with Lillard. But now without, they might be in some trouble.
I'd say of any team below the Cavs and Celtics, they were probably the most likely to have a chance to maybe make a run. But without Dame, that's not happening. And with how things have been happening, I find it hard to believe that he's coming back for the playoffs anyways. So
Yeah,
it's too bad. Giannis has kind of been like an unsung hero. I feel like this season he's had a really great season. He's kind of been that number 3 guy in the MVP race all season too.
yeah, he
He's playing
has.
well. He's playing really well, but it's just almost like it feels like it's behind the scenes with the other things that are happening. They're just not quite a top team. He's just not quite up to the Jokic and Shea level.
Yeah,
So it's like he's almost like just fallen out of the conversation quietly when he's actually been having such an
an
excellent
insane
season.
season.
So
And I think
like,
it's because of where they're at, and
yeah,
and I think a big part of that, their coach Doc Rivers. I
yeah,
was very interested to talk about this. He held an open forum. This was before Dame went down, with Giannis and Dame, just them, because they were having some offensive struggles. So I mean, and this was not too long before, not too, still with just a little bit left in the season. Not a kind of thing you definitely want to have coming out, especially reports
true.
and all that. Um, and he also went out and said that he doesn't get enough credit for getting 3 wins in series where he has blown 3-1 leads. I mean, Sign loves to talk about this guy. He had him for a little bit in Philly. I've kind of been on the same boat. I mean, besides that, just that one season in Boston where they won the title, just have not seen this guy do good, say anything that makes sense, and like inspire a team. I mean, it just feels like it's been bad, bad, bad wherever he's been. Has not had any success. I mean, look at his team's the 6th seed. I feel like the Clippers, when he was there, they were the 5th seed, the 4th seed most of the time. You know, you
Yeah,
never felt like they could break through. And this Doc Rivers guy, man, it go back to when they fired their old coach, then when they were at the 1 seed in in the Eastern Conference, and then bring
I
this
know.
guy in, and then he holds open forums and is talking about wanting credit for getting 3 wins where he's blown a 3-1 series lead, which is almost the worst thing you can do in all of sports, pretty much.
Yeah, I
Vice
think
would
I
say clown comment.
Clown
Clown,
comment.
clown
Yeah, I think
comments.
that's on brand. I just think that I think I said this recently, but he's one of the worst coaches to be considered a great coach. Like
Oh, yes,
he's
yes,
just
yes.
he's just not quite. I'm not convinced on what he brings to teams. I feel like he should have had. I feel like the Clippers when he was there. First of all. should have probably won at one point. You got
Yeah.
Chris Paul, you've got
Well,
the
they didn't even
Lob
make it to the
City.
Western Conference Finals, I think, in that run.
Is that right? Not even
I
once?
I could be wrong,
Oh
but
my
I'm
God.
pretty sure they never had a second
That's
round
just
series
definition.
victory.
That's like the definition of underperforming with a pretty good team. That's you got JJ Redick on that team. He's
Yeah.
coaching now. But yeah, JJ Redick, you got Chris Paul, you got um
Blake Griffin,
Blake
DeAndre
Griffin, DeAndre
Jordan.
Jordan. Like, I mean, that's a great five right there already. I mean, and I know they had more depth. I wish I could
They
remember
had
some more players from
Batum,
that
I
team.
believe, at that point, and like, yeah, they had a
Yeah,
lot of depth. I remember that
they had
team.
depth, and
They had
like
eight,
that's a
nine guys.
there's no reason they shouldn't have been contending every single year, and they weren't. They weren't.
They
Like,
weren't
I don't know. I'm just not convinced by Doc Rivers in the last like. I mean, because I
since
think didn't
2008. I mean,
yeah. I mean, he didn't he win one chip,
he won the chip in '08 with the Celtics, and I feel like
and that was
they that was
is that it for him? Just the
that's
one?
it. That's it.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean,
I,
I
I
mean,
remember when
obviously
you
winning a
said
chip is
that.
impressive. It's
Yeah.
impressive, but also like
They had
I
just
don't know.
traded for
After
KG.
that,
They had
have
a
we been
super team.
convinced?
They had a
Yeah,
super team too in Boston. You
yeah.
know what I mean? They
That
had
was like,
KG, Paul
yeah.
Pierce, Ray Allen, Paul George, Big Perk. You know who was the leader of that
Oh
team?
yeah,
I'm
no,
sure
Big
he
Perk.
would
Yeah,
say.
Big Perk might have been the best player on that team.
Yeah, no, it. That's. I remember when you said that. It was a while ago. It's been a while since we've done the NBA. I'm glad we were back, but yeah, that was the perfect way to describe it, man. I remember being so excited when you said that. Yes, the worst coach to be considered a great coach or even a good coach. I mean, I don't think he's good, even. You know what I mean? So yeah,
I mean,
sorry,
he's
Bucks
won though.
fans.
He's
Yeah,
won.
he has won.
You got to give him some credit. I do give him some credit, but like I feel like since then, not much has happened. So
It's been bad. All right, let's finish off with a few more Eastern Conference headlines. The Miami Heat, so since their trade, they had been terrible. They went on an 11-game losing
mm,
streak at one point, but they have since kind of turned it around. They got a win against the Hornets. Andrew Wiggins had 42 points in that game. Then they
Hornets.
played Jimmy Butler in his return to Miami, blew the brakes off of them, and I believe Curry was still healthy for this game. I can't remember now, but 112-86, pretty crazy defeat right there. And yeah, I remember Butler saying like they did a little those
Tribute
tribute
videos.
whatever
Yeah, yeah.
videos, yeah, and he's like, oh, it was cool, whatever, or something like that.
I think
And
he
it
was
was
getting some booze, so that's maybe part of the reason he wasn't impressed. But
Yeah, and we've talked about that Butler situation enough, but you know what I mean. So I get why there was booze, but
yeah.
yeah, they had that, and then wanted to talk about the Pacers a little bit because they had an historic performance. It
Mm.
was against the Wizards, which we referred to a little bit when they got outscored by the Alabama Crimson Tide in the same night, but 162 to 109, they beat the Wizards. This is without playing their starters in the fourth quarter. And that was the most scored
Wow.
points by any team this season and most in their franchise's history. A historic blowout for the Indiana Pacers.
That's crazy, man. I mean, it was one of those scores that you had a double take, triple take even. Like, are you is this real? I mean, I know the Wizards suck, but jeez, man. Like that's a crazy score. And yeah, to not play their starters in the fourth is really that I mean, how much more could they have got there, you know? That's a historic blowout, like you said. That's crazy.
So bad, man. And they're another team, dude. I think you mentioned it earlier. I wanted to kind of get into everything, but I might maybe be on a different page with you when you said like the Bucks are that team. I feel like the Knicks, obviously we haven't talked about them. They're third
Sure.
in the Eastern Conference right now. They're kind of solidified in third. 4 games ahead
Yeah,
of fourth place right now. They look pretty good. They got depth. You know what I mean? The one
I
worry with
agree.
them is that they are playing their guys so much as Tom Thibodeau does. Even Miles Bridges, who is the Iron Man of the NBA, hasn't missed a game in so long. He has some crazy streak going. It might be like, I don't know if 800 games is too crazy to say, but I think it might be something like crazy like that. Like he's played
Wow.
so many games. Maybe it's 600. I don't know, but he hasn't missed a game in a long, long time. And he came out against Tom Thibodeau and was like, dude, can you like not play us so much? I'm paraphrasing here, but he did come out publicly and say something about
Mm,
his extended play time because Thibodeau
I
plays
hadn't
his
heard about
starters
that.
like high 30s, low 40s minutes every single game.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like Josh Hart almost got known for it. He was just playing like
Mhm.
ridiculous minutes last season even. And yeah, I really do like you bringing this up because yeah, we haven't talked about the Knicks at all. Um, yeah, they are one of the teams as well, actually, and probably the team in the East now, especially with the injury to Dame, like you were saying, to potentially have a chance. They've
Yeah.
been great. The cat trade has worked for them. They totally won that trade, by the
Yes,
way.
they did. Yep, yep.
I feel like anyone could have
I
said
was
that when
wrong
it
about it.
happened. Oh, you
Hey,
didn't think so?
yeah, I kind of was
Oh,
like, I thought that, that the Timberwolves, like, just with, I think with Ant, like, just being so dominant, and I think Cat is still kind of that dominant as well. Not on the same level, but they're
mm,
both such high scores that I was like, I almost wonder if that'll allow Edwards to, like, be more comfortable, be more ball dominant, and Randall's good enough. But then I think Randall's been injured a lot, and it definitely has not
yeah,
worked out. So I was
and
definitely wrong about that.
yeah, I just feel like Cat's a great player, man. Like his offense is there. Maybe whatever on defense for sure, but he's just he's one of the top players in the league, I would say, and I feel like Randall's just not quite at that same level,
No,
and he
not at the
wasn't even
level.
he just wasn't
He's
even
been an
before the trade.
all-star, I know. I think he was
Yeah,
most improved player one year, but yeah, not the same level. And definitely I feel like not anymore. He's kind of like he's on the down trend for
especially
sure.
especially based on the run. I mean, the Timberwolves got to the Western Finals.
Mhm.
I don't know if that was the trade that would propel them past that anyways. Maybe even if it
Yeah.
wasn't like
Yeah.
maybe it's
Yeah.
an even trade in the end or something like. I don't see it ever being a huge positive for them. I mean, I mean, at this point, it's huge hindsight, right? But
Yeah. It certainly has
um,
worked out for the Knicks, like you say.
yeah,
Yeah. And those
I'm excited for the Knicks. I think they
Mhm.
really do. I think they have more depth than Thibodeau plays necessarily. It doesn't really
Yeah.
make sense. Like,
Yeah.
don't they have Bogey right now too? Is that right?
Ooh, did they get him back, or he might have got traded back to the Nets, I think.
Oh, he got traded again. Oh, poor
I
guy.
think he
He's
did.
been off and on a lot. Anyways, okay, fine. But like he was one of those guys that could have been, a good proponent in the playoffs. I don't know. I think the Knicks really. I'm glad we did talk about them for a moment because they deserve to be talked about because they've played great all season. They've been really solid. They're just, a step behind the other top two guys, and it's kind of again, you kind of fall behind. Like we said about Giannis in the MVP race. When you're in the
Yeah.
East and you're not doing as well, and you're not, it's just there's a lot of factors that play into these things. So
Yeah, and those Pacers, man, I think the Pacers too. They were in the Eastern Conference Finals last year too, so I think
yeah,
both those teams are gonna like. I think we do view them as a notch below, but I feel like they might
given,
be a notch above everybody else. I feel like the
yeah,
Pistons kind of creeping right there, but you just feel like they're so young. But
yeah,
yeah, we'll have to see. It'll be interesting to see these playoff matchups. I think the West might be a little bit more interesting than the East. I feel like
for the first
obviously
round for sure.
yeah, first round
Yeah,
in the Eastern Conference, you're looking at the Cavs. Cavs Magic maybe again. That could happen. That could happen. That would be
that
kind of
would be
fun.
maybe one of the best outcomes
Yeah,
for.
but you got Hawks and Heat down there. Bulls maybe, but
Just
we'll
teams that
see.
are on the downward trend, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we talked about those Hornets who are not in contention at all. They did shut down LaMelo for some wrist and ankle injuries that he's going to address. So he's officially out for the season. No surprises there, as they
yeah,
are well in the tankathon as well. Those
mhm.
three teams, Utah, Washington, Charlotte, still holding pat with those top three odds. And then New Orleans in fourth with 12.5. Philly in fifth, looking pretty good with 10.5. So
We're in the
that's
sweepstakes.
we're in there, man, and yeah, we only have a few games left, so I'm excited to see. Hopefully, it turns out well for us. Do you know when the lottery is?
God, I don't know the
I don't
exact
think it's
timing for it, but
I don't think it's that much longer after the yeah May
yeah,
12th, May 12th. So we'll still be in like playoffs and everything when that goes down, and obviously
you're
we
right.
know
Wait, that's before the end of the playoffs. That's crazy.
right.
That feels wrong. That's crazy.
Almost. But then the draft is pretty. I think the draft is soon after. Like
Yeah,
you
and then
don't have
summer,
as
and then
long
they
of a
do summer
season.
league,
Yep.
and then is their break, which honestly does kind of like split things up really well for the NBA. It's kind of a good way to like keep some sort of interest in between, which They do decently well. I think the NFL does it well too, obviously, with
Oh yeah.
the way their off seasons work and stuff. So, hey, man, these guys know how to make some money.
Yes, sir.
Imagine that.
Keep us in the
we
keep us in the
we
interested.
we love being involved. So,
1000%, man. We only got, let's see here. We got a game against the Rockets tomorrow. Pacers, loss. Atlanta, we can definitely lose that game. Portland, oh boy, maybe. And then we
we can
got the
make it
Thunder
happen.
and Timberwolves. So I'm feeling good about our chances to end in the
Be
number
the
one.
worst.
Yes, and then get into the playoffs, man. I'm excited for our stretch, our pick 'em games again, make them real interesting this year. That'll
Oh
definitely
yeah.
be awesome to see. A little update before we head out here. Stephen Curry could not get it. He only got one more
No.
three after we talked about it. Only scored 52 points with almost a triple
Only.
double.
Oh
And I think
man.
I did see that old man, you said that they showed that he has the most games after turning 30 with 50 points or something like that. Or
Really?
yeah, it was
Wow. Go him.
pretty cool stat, but yeah, did not get it, and it looked like he was even a little like mad at himself, like
Yeah, it looks like he
for
shot
not
five
hit.
more threes and got one more, so maybe he kind of shut it down for himself
They
there.
were definitely every time I kind of like tried to peek over too, they were doubling Curry off of every screen and trying to get the
Oh,
ball out of his hands. So
can't blame him. I mean, the Grizzlies need to win games right now, so I mean,
yeah,
yeah, it's not like
but
they're
they
gonna
did
have.
not. The Warriors got that win in that game, so
Absolutely.
huge game for them, man. I
Mm.
can't wait. We're
Let someone score
definitely
52 points. It's hard to win.
Very true. Very true. All right. Well, that does it for the NBA roundup for your favorite couch potatoes. Sean, thanks for holding down the fort with me.
Heck yeah.
Next time we talk, man, we might be about playoff time. So this is when it's
I
going to
hope.
get interesting. Once the NBA gets to the playoffs, that's when that's when we really turn up and get excited. So can't wait to bring you guys along for that ride. Thank you for joining us today. Make sure to check out the full episodes on YouTube and Spotify, and then hit the clips on Instagram, YouTube Shorts, TikTok. Like, follow, subscribe, comment, do whatever you can. Share the page, help us grow. We really appreciate it. Until next time, we'll catch you on the couch. See ya.